Welcome to the Hello AIEGS broadcast. Is AIEGS a new word for you? Well, you're not alone. Today, we will introduce you to the universe of AIEGS technology. I'm your host, Misha Lee. In a series of episodes, we'll help you say, hello, AIEGS. And trust me, it's an introduction that will change your life. My guest today is Devi Shetty. He is a software architect with AIEGS, and he is one of the people that's made it possible for the technology to be with us. But if you can't wait to find out more about AIEGS, just go to AIEGS.in, that's AIEGS.in, to get your questions answered and download the AIEGS app. So for now, though, let's meet our guest, Mr. Devi Shetty. Hello, Devi. Welcome to Hello AIEGS. How are you?
Thank you, Misha Lee, for having me on this program. And I'm glad to be here and glad to get deeper into the understanding of AIEGS.
First, though, tell us a little bit about yourself, give us a little background and your connection to the AIEGS technology.
I have been designing and developing software systems for over 20 years now, and working on different tech stacks, different business verticals, continents even, and have been part of several product life cycles. So that entire journey of from concept to inception to rollout management, maintenance, all of that is something that I've been part of.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you are the perfect subject matter expert to answer the question that I know is on everyone's mind. What in the world is AIEGS?
All right. I think to understand that, I think we'll a bit of a background on mobile phones. So these are now extensions of ourselves. What we earlier used for maybe communication, just communication, staying in touch with each other, it's now a matured platform. It's a platform used for fun, entertainment, engagement. The impact of this is so large that we are losing personal space and the time that we once had. We've stopped using it as just a communication device. It's a device that has great power, and we need to use it responsibly. AIEGS is that platform that we've been building with such a concept where we are trying to reclaim that space, that personal space that we've lost, and it's a easy to use system which a user can easily get used to, and he'll or she will be able to manage their devices, the way the device works or the way the communication happens in such a way that they get back their lost personal space and time.
Wow, now that's a lot. You've given us a lot to think about as far as communication and mobile phone technology. But I can just imagine that someone is listening and they're saying, okay, it sounds like AIEGS can offer a lot as far as helping me control my phone, give me my time back. But I already have some things that do that on my phone. I've got an app that stops spam calls, or I can put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So what makes AIEGS so different? Why does someone need AIEGS instead of having all of those other things?
So I would say, it's not like common softwares that you have these days that would help you, maybe stop spam calls from coming over or spam messages from coming over. It's more holistic. It's a platform that does a lot more than just block spam calls. Now the thing with spam calls is, there is a centralized database somewhere, some authority somewhere who chooses to call a certain number spam, and that is universally accepted by all people who download such softwares, and these numbers are permanently blocked till that central authority decides to take that number away. What AIEGSVERSE or what AIEGS does for its citizens is provide the ability to create their own spam circles. Of course, the central database is also coming into play out there, but more than that, there is the ability to create your own list of numbers that you would think you wouldn't want to receive at certain points of time in the day. So you could choose to be in the office space and choose to not have friends disturb you at that time and space. You want to be focused on your work. You don't want to be disturbed. So it's possible using the AIEGS platform. So it's the platform itself is backed by technology that is taking user actions, user behavioral patterns into picture, and the dashboard of Aegis will give you a very, very good insight on how you could better personalize your time for the day. So it's not just spam blocker.
Okay, so I heard you say several things, and I know in future episodes, plus on the AIEGS.in website, there are some demo videos that talk about the calling circle protection, go into more about the dashboard. So those are pretty fascinating. But I also heard you weave something in there that I want to touch on. In the tech world, I know that it is very common to have the term user when it comes to someone who's consuming the technology. Anybody who's utilizing the technology, they call them a user. But I noticed that you said the word citizens in relation to Aegis. Why is there an important distinction between a user and a citizen?
I think simply because there's a certain, it's an impersonal thing. When you call someone a user, user is a value-driven, business objective-driven term that you would give to users of a product. I think here we are talking about people coming onto the Aegis platform to have better choice, to have better control of their phones, and they are as such citizens of this universe of people who have chosen to have that right. So we love to call them citizens because we ourselves are part of this problem, where we are losing out on personal space, and we've tested it on ourselves first. We know that people who come to the Aegis platform would be pleasantly surprised, and that would make them part of something larger, a universe of people who are kind of choosing to do the right thing. So yeah, I think citizen is a better terminology. It's more personal, it's more choice driven. Yeah, I think that's the thought process behind why it's not a user on Aegis, it's a citizen.
All right. And I mean, I love that distinction because you mentioned the Aegis platform being a universe. So it's kind of like the AIEGSVERSE. In fact, I think that's one of the social media handles is AIEGSVERSE. But you also touched on something, and I don't want to gloss over this. I need people to hear this about how mobile phone technology did start off and was intended to be something that makes our lives easier, makes us more accessible, makes it easier to communicate. But what it has really done in a lot of ways is have a detrimental effect on our mental health. I mean, people with that technology and that 24/7 accessibility seem to be more stressed out. They seem to be more aggravated, more distracted. How can a technology like Aegis, or how can living in the AIEGSverse help your mental health?
So I would, answer that question by saying, by beginning with saying that there are, there's a lot of, things that are possible on the phone today. We can do a lot of good stuff on the phone, which is actually required. A lot of work-related stuff, a lot of entertainment stuff that would be required by different, genres of people throughout the world. But what has happened, like you rightly said, there's a sense of balance which is lost. We seem to be fidgeting more with our phones. So we are expecting it to ring. We are expecting messages to come. We keep checking it. There's definitely a loss of normal behavior, I would say. There's a constant distraction, and that distraction is impacting your mental health. I would definitely, based out of personal experience and based out of conversations that I've been part of, we know that this is a problem which is only going to go grow in scale. So it's like when you have an imbalance in life, you would probably go run or do some physical exercise, get some activity going. It makes you feel better. Even maybe a bit of yoga. So this is like that. Aegis is probably a solution that we, out of our own individual habits of distraction, have created as a solution for getting back that mental health, the loss in mental health, or the sense of imbalance that is there, regaining that. So yeah, the mental health thing, that it's a real thing, and we need to get hold of it as soon as possible.
And what's interesting about that is you and I are from a time when cell phones initially, at least we remember in our childhood, them not being so available, not being so accessible. But children today, young people today have grown up in a world of technology. So can AIEGS, you mentioned bringing back balance. They've never known anything else but this. So can AIEGS really help them develop and be proactive and develop good mental habits in relation to their technology?
I think it's what you said is right. They have been released into a world of chaos. I think it's a little difficult to kind of put boundaries out there. But as long as it's done in conjunction with advice, coming from maybe friends, family, teachers, etc. I think yes, that awareness first. I think it's important to be aware that you need to have a sense of balance, a sense of proportionate use of your time for the entire day. As long as that is understood, I think the next easy step is to utilize a platform like AIEGS, which will make that happen. It's difficult to kind of control and bring a sense of boundary across all the crazy things that are possible to do on a phone today. But I think with the right sense of support from friends, family, teachers, etc., people who would want you to understand, that there is the need for rationing and proportionate distribution of time throughout the day. You could bring it about, have more control over your habits, and that self-awareness is step number one. And obviously, with the use of AIEGS, you could bring a lot of control into your daily habits of using the phone.
I've even heard that with the young people, because of the use of their phones, that we're morphing with they may be morphing with their fingers, or I mean, it's really changing them biologically as well. It could, at least.
Yeah, that's true. That's something I've also read. It's also how evolution really works. Whatever you use more, it gets developed better, and whatever you use less tends to be not used as much. So I guess it'll eventually fade out. So yeah, it makes sense. You probably have longer thumbs. You might have a thumb that is better extra padding for swiping across.
Wow. We're developing a swipe thumb. That is interesting. So in the AIEGSverse, we're kind of developing a new language. So everything has an E word. There's a new E word every time we bring you an episode. And this time, introducing people to e-peace. I mean, we talked about the positive effect or the positive reaction that AIEGS can cause for your mental health, the positive habits it can help to create. So how would you define e-peace?
I think, see, it's again, how you would want to define peacefulness. So I'm guessing continued use of your phone, could also, result in maybe a lot of anxiety, a lot of headaches. There could be fatigue. So it's a kind of abuse, right? You're overusing something. You're continuously on it all the time. What you're losing out on is peace. And of course, it being on a completely digital platform, I think we've kind of referred to it as e-peace. And gaining your e-peace is something that AIEGS aspires to do. So it's all about piecing together different parts of the day and getting back the peace that you're missing out on.
I mean, AIEGS has so much to be excited about. And I know in future episodes, too, we're even going to talk about parental controls, more about the mental health and positive aspects, more about finding that balance. It's like a whole universe of technology, just like you said, delivered through the portal of an app. So it's much more than a phone app. AIEGS is really a universe unto itself. So, Devi, thank you for joining us for this episode. We've got much more to talk about. So by all means, go to AIEGS.in, check out these future episodes of Hello AIEGS, and trust me, you will be soon saying, Hello AIEGS, I'm Misha Lee. So long for now. See you next time on Hello AIEGS.